Hey, it's Marley. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting a brand new reading vlog. And the theme for this vlog is going to be listening to audiobooks for a week to see how much more I can read. So if you're familiar with me and my channel and my reading trends, I don't read very many audiobooks. In the last couple years, I've been getting a little more into them, but on average, I probably read 0 to 1 audiobook a month. So I thought it would be interesting to try out this little challenge for myself where I only read audiobooks or listen to audiobooks for a full week and see how much more I can read in that time, because in my little experience reading audiobooks so far, I definitely can finish the books very, very quickly. A lot of times in one sitting, if I'm just, sitting and coloring while I listen or something like that. So I'm curious to see how it will be if I'm exclusively listening to audiobooks for a full week. I would say when I read normally, I probably finish like 2 books a week. So let's see if I can beat that. I do have 3 audiobooks from the library right now that I'm hoping I can get to, and maybe we'll be able to read even more than that. I don't know. The first one I'm going to start out with is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood because I got a skip the line copy from the library. So I'm going to read this one first. My history with Ali Hazelwood's pretty good. I've really loved and connected with her romance writing, except for her one book where she had a type 1 diabetic character and I thought the representation was really bad and offensive. But other than that, I've had a pretty good track record with Ali. I know this book is a little bit different from her typical rom-coms. I think this one is a little bit more steamy and just her writing style is a little bit different, but I've still been hearing overall good things. I have never listened to one of her books on audio before. I actually haven't listened to a ton of romance audiobooks before, so that's something else I want to do, is try out reading different genres via audio, because mainly I have listened to thriller books on audio, to be honest. So we're trying out something new. Next up, I also have Finlay, Donovan Rolls the Dice by Elle Cosimano on deck. This is of course a cozy mystery. So those are the first 2 that I'm planning to work on. It is Sunday today, so I'm gonna do Sunday to Saturday, see how much I can read. Don't really have any plans today, but I think I'm gonna go for like a long walk. So that's where I should get some good listening in. And then I do have kind of a busy week in terms of work and some social stuff. So we'll see how the week goes, but thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me. Let's start the vlog. I'm back from my walk. I'm about 33% of the way through Not in Love. Not loving it, but also I think I'm being reminded of why audiobooks are not my favorite format. I feel like while I was walking, my brain was kind of like zoning out, or I was like thinking about things, and so I feel like I missed part of the audiobook, which that's just something that happens with me a lot. So that wasn't great. In terms of the actual story too, like it's just feeling kind of mid for me. We have our main characters Rue and Eli, and they both get points of view, and I feel like that's something I normally like about Ali Hazelwood's books, is that it's only the female's point of view. That's just a preference that I have for romance books, is I prefer to have single POV from the woman if it's a hetero couple. So the fact that we're actually hearing from the guy, like I just don't love that. I think the only times I like that in a romance is Abby Jimenez books, to be honest. Also, I don't know, like I think the fact that it's this new style from her, I think I like her old style better. Basically, Rue and Eli meet up one day. They connect on this like sex forward app. So the intention is that they will hook up, but then some stuff happens where they actually don't end up hooking up, but they just kind of have like a nice kind of conversation, bonding with each other. They definitely have like an interest in each other, but they don't actually sleep together. And then like the next day they find out that they are involved. Their 2 businesses that they work for are getting involved. Like his business is like trying to take over her business that she works for. It deals with women working in STEM. Again, she is like a engineer, and there's quite a bit of focus on the work stuff, which I guess Ali Hazelwood normally does, but this does definitely have more of like a serious tone to it. Anyway, so it just kind of makes there be more tension between them because they're kind of like at odds business wise, but they still have this attraction to each other physically and everything. And so the part where I'm at now is they're finally gonna hook up to kind of get it out of their system kind of thing so they can move on, which I think we know how that's gonna go. So yeah, I don't think this book is my cup of tea, but I kind of knew that going into it. I just kind of wanted to still read it because I've been reading all of Ali's books. So yeah, I'll probably keep listening while I play my little cooking games on my phone. I think that is a way that I'm able to concentrate more on the book rather than when I'm walking. I feel like when I'm walking, my mind just drifts more, but when I am playing one of my little phone games, I'm able to kind of lock in and listen better. That is a plan for the rest of my listening for today. I also might color. I've mentioned it before on my channel, or I've shown it, that I am into coloring with alcohol markers, and it's been a while since I did any coloring because of all the traveling that I was doing in March, all the busyness that I've had going on. So maybe I will finally try to color again too. Good morning. So I was too lazy to update last night, but by the end of day one, I was at 50% of the way through Not in Love. I definitely could have listened to the audiobook a lot longer, but I just didn't want to. I ended up watching a bunch of booktube for a bunch of the night instead. That's the thing about audiobooks sometimes, is like you can listen to it like a lot more than maybe you want to. Like I want to listen or watch other things than just the audiobook, but I need to focus on it more today because that's the point of this video, is to listen to the audiobook. In terms of the book, not too much more to say from my last update. I'm feeling still very middle of the road with this book. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm not feeling that invested in it. Like, it was easy to listen to as I was listening and playing my cooking games. Cooking Madness is the one I was playing, if you want a recommendation. But I just feel like, yeah, I'm not that invested in the story. I mean, any romance, you kind of know how it's gonna end because you know it'll be a happily ever after. But this one especially, I'm just like, I don't really care that much about like the plot or the relationship, so that's too bad. But yeah, hopefully I get some progress today. It's a work day, and some of the work I have to do today is writing, so it's not like it's any type of work that I could listen to my audiobook while I'm working, because I have to be thinking and writing. So we'll see how much I can listen to today. I might go on a long walk again because yesterday my prescription wasn't ready at the pharmacy, so I think I have to go back today. Again, I think another thing ruining the experience a little for me with the book is the male point of view, and I honestly wonder if maybe I was reading it physically, if it wouldn't be annoying me as much, because then I wouldn't have to hear the man's voice. Like in this audiobook, I'm having to hear his voice when it's his point of view. I actually wonder if maybe reading this book physically would have been better for me as someone who doesn't like the male point of view. So that's too bad that this is one I chose to listen to, but yeah, that's another little thing I've been thinking about. So I've actually been listening to my audiobook a good amount today. I'm now 85% of the way through Not in Love. I did some chores, did some laundry where I was able to listen, doing dishes, going on a walk, of course playing my cooking games, and I actually did listen a little bit while working. I spent the morning doing a writing task, but then I was kind of tired of writing, so I switched some things around and did some tasks where I could listen in the afternoon. Feeling good about the progress. In terms of the actual book, I'm still not loving it. It is so focused on the spicy scenes. So this is really something I want to recommend for people who enjoy spicy scenes and basically want to read a book that is totally full of them. That is not my taste. And again, as I said before, I kind of knew that going in, but it's still disappointing to face the reality of it. So I'm definitely looking forward to just kind of having this book over with and moving on. What sucks is that she's putting like all of the spicy scenes in Eli's point of view, and that is my big gripe. I don't want to read those scenes from a male gaze, from a male's point of view. I would much rather have been hearing them from Rue's point of view. I think that's something that at least could have made me enjoy this a little bit more. And I think that just even listening to spicy scenes on audio feels a little weird talking about this, but I just think for me personally, I would enjoy those scenes more if I was reading it physically and really able to like focus on it more, I guess. I feel like listening, it's just personally, I don't feel like I'm connecting with it as much. So at least I'm learning something about my audiobook preferences, because as I said, I don't read a ton of romance on audio, and I think this is a sign that I shouldn't but moving forward. So that is good to know, and I think 100% I will finish the book tomorrow. I am going into the office, so I will have time to listen on my commute to and from. I'm a little nervous because in the past, when I've listened to audiobooks on the subway, it can be a little noisy and sometimes it distracts me. So we'll see how that goes, but excited to finish and get to move on. All right, checking in at the end of day 3 of this reading vlog. I did finish Not in Love on my way home today. I ended up having to take an Uber home from work because I had a bunch of stuff I needed to take home for some events, some work events I'm going to tomorrow. It's going to be a busy day tomorrow with all of those going on. But when I put my headphones in, I'm like, you better not fail me. I do not want this Uber driver hearing what I'm listening to. But yeah, I finished that and I did go on and rate it 2.5 stars. Probably not shocking with how I've been talking about the book. I don't know if it really deserves such a low rating. I want to apologize to Ali Hazelwood right now, but I truly think this book was just not for me, which I've been saying. I think it definitely has an audience, and I don't think Ali Hazelwood is a bad writer by any means, but what I like about her books, my taste is like her comedy and stuff like that. And this book was a way different tone, like more trauma and a lot more of the spicy scenes. And I've already gone into that a bunch. My issues, it also got quite cheesy. It was a little overly cheesy for me as well. So just really not a match for me. And then I did start Finlay Donovan Rolls the Dice, the 4th book in the series. I'm about 22% of the way through that. It's pretty easy to listen to right now. At first, I was finding it a little hard to get into, but I do recall that that's how I felt with every other book in the series. I think it takes a little while for the plot to develop, and then it just kind of gets to be a very crazy, hectic plot, and you can't help but getting kind of sucked into it. So the book started out with kind of a future scene of a bunch of chaos, and now it's like however many hours earlier, and we're going to build up to that. If you don't know, it's about Finlay, who is a single mom and also an author, and she basically is just getting wrapped up in this criminal world of murder and crime, and it's been going on for multiple books. And the reason I've been kind of putting this one off is because at the end of the 3rd one, it seemed like this book was really just kind of creating a new storyline, and it just really felt like the series was getting dragged out. I'm not super excited to be reading this one either, but hoping to just kind of quickly get through it and see how I feel. So far, it is seeming like they're following that same storyline that I wasn't super interested in, but I do like Finlay as a character, and I do like a few other characters, but I also do hate some of the characters. Like basically Finlay, Vero, who's her babysitter or like her kid's nanny, and now her best friend, and then her kids, and then her mom, and then also her ex-husband are all kind of going somewhere together in this book. And the fact that her husband is coming, I just wonder if the author wants her to get back with her husband, her ex-husband, at the end of the day or not. They've made him very like terrible, but they just keep putting him in the book. So I'm like, do they plan to get her together with him? I don't know, but that's kind of annoying. And then I also do not like her confirmed love interest, Nick, the cop, either. So I don't love the series in terms of where her love story has gone, but I do like other elements of the book. We'll see how this goes. As I said, tomorrow a little busier with different events going on, so we'll see how much I get to listen, probably on my commutes everywhere. right. All right, hello. I'm checking in on Thursday. Yesterday was my busy day, multiple work events I was going to, and so I did get a lot of listening in on my different commutes that I had. However, I do feel like what I said before about listening on the subway and in that kind of environment, my listening comprehension is not as good as it is when I'm just at home doing something in like a more calmer environment. So unfortunately, I don't think my comprehension of the book is as good as it could be, but it is what it is. That's kind of why I chose a book I didn't care about that much to listen to. This is reading like probably a 3-star book for me. I do think there's been some fun scenes in the book, some funny scenes, but it's just like there's so many random criminal characters they're constantly introducing. It's very hard for me to keep track of everything. I think especially when you read the books so spaced out, you don't, for me, I didn't remember like all the details from the previous books. The story is going off. It seems to be a little bit separate from the original 3 books, but they're still introducing all these things and I'm not quite keeping track of that. And I think part of it is that I've been distracted when listening, but still it's just not really making me care a ton about it. I do care ultimately about Finlay and Vero and like their characters, but all of these other characters they bring in, it's just like, it's a lot. So I am 70% of the way through now. I just went to a doctor's appointment, so again I had time to listen on my commute. I think I am learning that if I listen to audiobooks, you know, I need to pick and choose when I listen to it and when I put on just music or something I don't need to pay attention to. Obviously this week my whole challenge for myself was to listen as much as possible, so I'm kind of forcing myself to listen to the audiobooks even in these not ideal situations. But I think moving forward, if I am listening to an audiobook, I might choose to not listen to it when I'm commuting. If like it's kind of a hectic commute or I'm distracted or something, then I'll opt to listen to music in those situations. I just really want to get through these audiobooks this week, so I'm just kind of pushing through. Now I am working again, and tonight I have plans with a friend. So again, I'll be out commuting to our plans. So maybe that's when I will finish Finlay. I think ultimately I would recommend this series for people who like cozy mysteries, but during my time reading this series, I've kind of discovered I don't love cozy mysteries. They're not really for me. So I'll have to take these books one at a time to see if like I will keep continuing them. I'm such a completionist. I never DNF things. So I feel like I kind of want to just continue with this series since I'm this far in, but I don't know. I'm not quite loving it. It's not quite my reading taste. Hello, happy Friday. Yesterday was another busy day. I managed to film a little bit of it, but could have gotten more b-roll, I guess. I hung out with a friend in the evening. Shout out to Vanessa. I know she's a fan of the channel. She watches. And on my way back, I did finish Finlay Donovan Rolls the Dice. I ended up rating it 3 stars, which I've kind of already gotten into how I wasn't like super invested in it. I do think the audiobook experience distracted me a little bit from following all of this crazy plot, but I may just keep checking out the rest of the series, seeing how I feel, but maybe not reading the audiobook for the future books. Or maybe I'll DNF the series. I don't know. It's just a very average series for me at this point, I think. And I don't even think this one really ended off with that much of a cliffhanger. And then I did start The Story of a New Name, which is the sequel to My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. It is a Italian series that's translated to English. I read the first book, I think a few months ago. It was for my book club. I think I rated the book like 3 stars. I wasn't necessarily going to continue the series, but when I found out my friends were going to continue the series, I was like, okay, I'll consider it. So I actually listened to the first book on audio. So listening to the second one on audio, I feel like it's going to be pretty easy for me to get into it because I'm already used to consuming the story in this format. It is basically about this friendship between these 2 girls in Italy. It starts out like in the 50s. In the first book, we're seeing their childhood into their teen years. And the second book, they are, I think, about 17. And I don't know how far we're going to get, but I know there's like 4 books, I think. I'm assuming we'll get, you know, into their 20s at least in this book. Both of the women are kind of going down different paths, so it's interesting to see different experiences that women had during this time, depending on if they got a husband earlier, if they continued their education, that kind of thing. Already, the book has been pretty interesting. I only listened to it a little bit on my way home, but I actually feel like maybe this is going to end up being my favorite of the video. It is a really long audiobook though. It's like double the length of the other 2 that I've been listening to. So I don't even know if I'll finish it actually in the next couple days. I was hoping to finish 3 audiobooks, but this one, because it's so long, I don't know if I will. As I said, it's Friday. I'm going to try to stay in today because I've been leaving the house so much recently. So I'm going to try to stay in. We'll see if I have time to listen today. I'm not doing anything, but I might end up, you know, watching stuff with Dakota. I don't know. But that is the update for now. Good morning, it's a Saturday. Honestly didn't listen to too much of the book yesterday, but I have been cleaning this morning and so I've been listening more. I'm at 15% of the way through the audiobook. It's 19 hours long, so as I said before, it is pretty long. I know I said this started out good, but then it was getting pretty depressing. Like the subject matter is really upsetting because there's a lot of like beating of women, abuse against women, like it's not great. And so I was wondering if I was thinking maybe I would DNF it, but I'm gonna stick it out a little bit longer, definitely till the end of today and when I wrap up this video. And then what I'm thinking is I might, like, instead of trying to rush through it, I might just listen to it casually throughout the rest of the month while I read other things. That's one of the things that I've been learning about audiobooks, and I see most readers do this where they have an audiobook on the go and then they have a physical book on the go. I'm the type of reader, I like to read one book at a time, so it's not super conducive for me. But if I do listen to audiobooks, I think that might be a good way to do it, that I have an audiobook on just for the convenient moments, like when I'm cleaning or whatever, and I do have a physical book to read in other moments. That does seem like a good strategy that I might use going forward. I don't think I mentioned another pro I was thinking about in terms of audiobooks is the fact that you don't have to carry anything with you when you're traveling. So I obviously had to commute around the city a bunch this week. You know, normally having my e-reader, that at least is lighter than a physical book, so that's always nice. But with an audiobook, I don't even have to bring anything. I literally just have my phone and my earbuds, which I have on me anyways. So that is definitely a pro. But anyways, I'm gonna keep cleaning today, have some other errands to do, and then we're hosting some people for Dakota's birthday. So in the evening, I won't have time to listen, but hopefully I get some good progress done this morning and this afternoon. Hello, it is time for me to end this weekly vlog as it is Sunday again. Yesterday we had a nice time hosting people for Dakota's birthday, and then this morning I've just been resting, and I did reach 30% of the way through the audiobook, The Story of a New Name. So I think I'm like 5 or 6 hours in, and it's like a 19-hour audiobook, so clearly I was not going to finish in time for the end of the week. But I read 2 full books and part of another book, which I guess is technically better than my average of 2 books a week. So I guess in terms of the experiment, I definitely learned a lot about my preferences when it comes to listening to audiobooks, so I'm still glad that I did this video and this experiment. I think I've learned some different things I want to do when it comes to listening to audiobooks, such as not really listening to romances on audio, and just the tasks I like to do when listening and the tasks I don't like to do while I'm listening. But in terms of reading more than I normally do, I don't necessarily think it helped me with that as much as I thought that it would. So that's interesting. And that is going to end this vlog. So feel free to let me know below your thoughts on audiobooks and any of your little tips and tricks you have when it comes to listening. And of course, you can let me know your opinion on any of these books that I talked about in this video. If you've read them and you want to share your thoughts too, I welcome that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you'll subscribe for more bookish videos if you have not already, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.